Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, all you lovely, lovely listeners, and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. My name is Iain Mackay. I'm the host tonight. We're a little bit short-handed tonight because the lovely Joanne is suffering from a migraine. Maybe that's the effect of watching Newcastle and Fulham yesterday. Instead, I've got my good bud Kevin here, Kevin Esther, permanent siesta. How are you doing, Kev, and what do you think we've got to talk about tonight?
Well, I'm good, despite obviously not the best result against Fulham, and I think we've got quite a bit to talk about. We've got obviously the Fulham game itself, where we've been in review. There's some big news transfer-wise, which is huge.
Part 2.
And then we've got a massive semi-final coming up on Wednesday, which could make us all forget about the Fulham result. So I think there we go.
Part 3. I think you planned it out there very, very well, Kev.
Dream team.
And I know you are suffering a little bit with a very in and out microphone. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will continue to work for at least the next half an hour.
It'll be all right.
But anyway, let us switch straight on to Saturday's game at home to Fulham. I think neither of us were as confident as we might have been, despite being on a run of 10 wins out of 11 games, because we sat a fortnight earlier through the Bournemouth match. However, I'll be honest, Kev, I like the look of the team, and I know it was a close game in the first half. I don't think we were getting outclassed at all there. I thought it was very close, and we did take the lead and went in at half-time leading 1-0. At that stage, I was feeling all right. How were you feeling at half-time?
Yeah, half-time, I thought, this is brilliant. Hopefully we can get 2 or 3 up, and then rest the big players for Wednesday night. That was kind of my thought at half-time. We didn't look at our free-flowing best, but we looked like we had enough to win the game. But then, just I was going to say 2 goals out of nowhere, but it wasn't the first goal we all saw coming. The second goal, the free kick, was just, again, a little bit poor. But we hit the bar twice, once in each half. Isaac had a great chance one-on-one. I know it was given offside, but the defender took about 8 touches, so I'll be amazed if it was actually ruled out if it went in. Isaac missed a one-on-one. Joe Willock had a unbelievable chance with the ball coming across the box. So still, even though we lost the game and it's not a nice result, there is positives there. We did have opportunities to score goals. We did hit the woodwork twice, and almost every other team around us lost in terms of below us, other than Chelsea, who I think haven't played yet. So, yeah.
Play tomorrow. I know. Can you believe that? All we did was cement our position in 5th. We gained 3 goals again in comparison to Manchester City. Still hoping Arsenal will get a 6th, because that would have put them back down. We'd have moved up to 4th.
We don't want Arsenal getting too much confidence, Iain.
Below us, Bournemouth lost by 2, Villa lost by 2, and we only lost by 1. So I guess we improved our goal difference marginally against the teams around us, battling away for those Champions League places. I know we've got to talk about this game. I thought it was all right. I nearly jumped it completely out of the stand when Tonali had that shot from 35 yards, which
that would have been insane.
I think that bar is still shaking when that hit. So unlucky. Of course, that would be 2-0 in at half-time. And as you said, Willock missed the sitter, just missed the ball air shot when it was probably easier to put it in.
Yeah.
And Isaac hit the bar as well, was after quite a nice move. And that was all still at 1-0, I think. So, with it on a different day, this could easily have been a Wolves type game where we go 3 up without playing particularly well, and then let them get into it a little bit in the last half an hour, which we did for Fulham. And unfortunately, without having a 3-goal cushion to give us a little bit of extra confidence, we let them score twice. So disappointing, because I know we weren't at our best. I'm going to give them a little bit of an allowance for making sure that they don't go 100% and knacker themselves for Wednesday, because they must have had one eye on that game. That's
definitely.
a massive
I was going to make that point next. Definitely, I think you could see there was and you could feel it in the stadium, even at 1-0 up. I think Joe Linton went down at one point, Bruno went down, and you could feel it in the stadium. Everybody was like, "Oh no, please be fit for Wednesday." And I think that would have filtered onto the pitch, but I also think the players naturally would have had the same thought of, "Oh God, look, we're 1-0 up. Take our foot off the gas a little bit. I don't want to miss this semi-final. It's so important. It's so big. First trophy up. Again, second final in 3 years if we can make it through." I think they definitely had one eye on the final, and I know Eddie Howe will be telling them not to do that, and they'll be trying not to do that, but it's human instinct. It's natural when it means so much to the club. So again, I'm not using it as an excuse. Look, Fulham are a good team, just like you said.
They are.
You
They
said
are.
at the start we weren't as confident as what probably some people might think, despite our fantastic run of form. Fulham's a good team. They've done the double over us this season, so fair play to them. But it's almost like we just want to get the Wednesday. It's the length of time between the first leg and this leg coming up. We're just desperate to get there. We just want to get this game done, and we want to know if we're booking trains and sorting out lifts to Wembley, or if we are forgetting completely that the League Cup final is on the 16th of March and ignoring it altogether. So the players would have been the same. And again, it's not an excuse. We should do better. We should be trying to, or we should definitely be at least not dropping any points at home to Fulham
We are.
if we're aiming for top 4, top 5. But there's reasons there, I think. And like you said, and like I said before, that we did have chances to blow them away. We just were a little bit unlucky with the woodwork. And then Willock's golden chance and Isaac's golden chance.
If we do get knocked out, we'll be playing West Ham that weekend, by the way. And another team that we've got a score to settle with, which we've kind of failed to do against Bournemouth and against Fulham in recent times. But never mind. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing which I wasn't inspired to do is blame it all on poor Joe Willock, take to Twitter and be maliciously racist and abusive towards a guy who, let's be honest, whenever he's playing, he gives 100%. He's been a star. He's been a star for the last 3 years at Newcastle, and anyone can miss a sitter. Just look at some of the ones that Alexander Isak missed in the last few games as well.
Exactly.
I know he's scored a few, but he's missed some sitters. It's an easy thing to do. My God, totally and utterly condemn any sort of activity that so-called Newcastle fans want to do. I know it's frustrating. We're frustrated, but come on, it's only a game of football, and that's everything in.
Some of the messages when he shared them, and you read what them people are putting, you just think, how does anybody even come up with that in their mind to say that, like, or to even think that is just absolutely horrific. Never mind then send it to somebody. It's disgusting. Of course, I mean, we don't condemn it. I hope, and I probably think he does. I think Joe Willock probably knows it's probably not a real Newcastle fan, or a very, very, very small, very, very, very small minority of some type of Newcastle fan, if that is what we are. I hope he knows that, because again, we support him through thick and thin. It is what it is. But look, everyone's going to miss chances. That type of behaviour is just totally unacceptable.
Totally and utterly. And I'm going to take the last part of this part one, Kev, just to revisit. You might be thinking, oh, not again, Iain. But did I, or did I not warn last week when we limped
You did.
to a 3-1 win away to Southampton that I wasn't sure that Bournemouth was just a blip? I thought, certainly since the Arsenal game, there's been a real drop-off in the intensity that we've shown in all of the matches. And whilst there's a reason for that, because they want to save themselves and not get injured before the big semi-final, I think that the thinness of our squad and the lack of in any of the squad players to actually step in and allow some of the first choice 11 to take a break coming back to bite us on the bottom. Now, I don't know what the solution to that is. Like I said, we've had squad players step in when they have to. Martin Dugrata, Jacob Murphy, and they've been absolutely brilliant. They've starred. And I don't know why there's not any willingness to experiment. Emil Kraft coming in for a very lackluster looking Fab Shah. I'm not sure if he's completely over his virus that he had. For Kieran Trippier to come in, for Kino Livramento, who hasn't really shown very much in the last 3 or 4 games. The biggest one for me, the most disappointing set of performances since that Arsenal game, is big bad Joe Linton. And we've got some hard-working midfield players. We've got either Willock or Longstaff or Miley, I think. I know they're not a Joe Linton, but they could come in and do better than Joe Linton was been doing in the last few games.
He
Can
does
you
look
see
like he
the
needs a
point
rest.
better?
He does look like he needs a rest, Joe Linton.
My point from last week about using the squad players before you need to surely is more apparent now after you've seen what happened picking the same 11 against the Fulham team who we should have beaten.
Yeah, definitely made it does. It was definitely a point there. The only thing I would say is when you looked at our bench against Fulham, there's only really Willock and Miley I would trust. But I mean, in terms of coming off a bench, there's only really Willock who could change a game. In hindsight, we had a Sula who's very raw. I mean, I like him. I think he could be a good player in the future, but he's not. I don't think you can really rotate him with Isak. Trippier, I'm a big fan of, but just offensively, in terms of attacking, there was only really Willock who, I mean, Miley's a good player, but he's not, he's not really an aggressive substitution, I would say. I love Trippier, but he's not really an aggressive. So it was only really Willock offensively who I think was on the bench. Barnes is injured, Wilson's injured. But yeah, I think you've definitely got a point with the defence and maybe some of the midfielders having that rest, especially against Fulham with a big game coming up Wednesday. I guess the problem would be is if you did bring Willock and Miley in with Trippier and we lost against Fulham still, imagine the fan backlash of, well, if he'd played Joe Linton, and whoever else, we would have definitely beat Fulham. So it's difficult.
I think that semi-final is so important that you could almost forgive it if you were saving your big players to be full on, to be fully intense on Wednesday. The fact is that we've done neither.
Yeah.
Joe Linton's played another hour, got a bit of a knock, and we don't even know if he'll be fit for Wednesday, in which case it really is the pain. Anyway, look, we're waffling on about it. I know we should have done because it's the game, and I don't mind overrunning a little bit because we've got so much other stuff to do. The most interesting part about that day yesterday is not actually the game, it's what happened after the game, and we're going to talk about that in part 2. So if you can give us your Zencastr advert, Kevin, we'll get straight on with it.
Absolutely. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Part 2, after the game, right? Within 5 hours of Lloyd Kelly having come on as a substitute and played fairly anonymously, but he was attacking where at the end where I was sitting, and he was getting up. He did get into the box a couple of times, not perhaps as effectively as Lewis Hall might have done, but, we haven't given him a fair crack of the whip. However, amazingly, by the time I got back down to sunny Thirst from Newcastle and had something to eat and then started looking at what was going on YouTube, Lloyd Kelly to Juventus was a done deal, according to Fabrizio Romano. And I watched the guys on the Loaded podcast talk about it, and they made me really, really think, because I think they had some fantastic points. Why, with the thin squad that we have, we're closed for business, as Eddie Howe said on the Friday. Why would that change within 4.5 hours of Lloyd Kelly actually playing a role in the game? Unless some other opportunity and we need some cash in from satisfy the PSR if we're going to buy somebody. What do you think?
I'm gonna be the bearer of what I think is bad news. I don't think we are gonna sign anybody in January. I think the reason we are letting Lloyd Kelly go is obviously that £20 million, which comes at the end of a loan, so it'll be the end of a season, start of next season. That £20 million will be an unbelievable profit from somebody we signed on a free. And I also think with Jamal Lascelles coming back, and we've still got Matt Targett as a backup left back, Dan Burn can do a job at left back. We've obviously got Lewis Hall who starts there. There's three options, and then at centre half, you've still got Botman, Shaw, Lascelles, Kraft, and obviously Burn if he's not playing left back. So I feel like we're not really thin at the back. The defence is where we can afford to lose somebody, and I just think the deal's too good to turn down when you look at profitability in terms of this transfer. We haven't used him as much as maybe we thought we were going to when we signed him. Probably down to the unbelievable form of Dan Burn, the unbelievable form of Lewis Hall. So he's not going to get in either of them positions. And I think we're probably looking at the squad thinking, like I've just said, we've still got three options at left back and five options at centre half. Obviously, one of them options, Burn, is in both, but even if he's not, it's 4-3 or 5-2. So yeah, for me, I just think it's too good of an offer to turn down for a player who has hardly been used. I think that's what's happening. And then I expect big things in the summer window once we get this profit in. The Miggy money, obviously, the £10 million there. Both them players were on pretty nice wages. They'll be gone. And I think there'll be others to follow in the summer with Trippier and Callum Wilson. So I think it's long term. I say long term, mid term planning up to the summer, which is not going to make people very happy on a Monday morning. They want to hear me say, "Look, we're going to get Bakayoko or Mbuemo or Ilanga," but I don't think it's going to happen. I think we are closed for business, but I think the summer now, because of his transfer, is going to be very exciting.
Okay, I hear what you say, Kev. This is going to age very badly in 24 hours if I'm totally wrong. However, I don't agree with you, mate.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Eddie said we were closed for business at his press conference on Friday. That was incoming and outgoing. Outgoing confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, so they've been talking for an hour or two before. So immediately to come up from the pitch, they are doing a deal to sell Lloyd Kelly. I mean, if that was just we're going to do this. We need the cash in because it's going to look great on the books in the summer. Phone me back at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Talk to me on Monday at 9 o'clock. Whatever. Not. Yeah, all right. I haven't had my tea yet after the game, but I'm going to sit down here and work this thing out so we can agree it. No, I think unless that deal is being done so quickly, so it's confirmed as it was last night, and those guys were saying that even though it's a loan to buy with an obligation to buy, that the cash coming in on the obligation comes into this year's figures, and obviously with the multipliers on it, 20 million that we've got ahead of a break even after Miggy, there could be 40, 50, 60 million to spend. I can't see why they would work that hard on Saturday
Iain,
night.
getting us carried away here.
If they didn't have somebody who'd suddenly become available, that last minute opportunity that makes us not close the business anymore. Actually, we can sell Lloyd Kelly because Lloyd Kelly, even I don't know who Lloyd Kelly is. Probably his dog is the Lloyd Kelly.
Twin.
Lloyd Kelly, because there is a right winger popped up, or maybe it's another loan with an obligation to buy for us. So we've got a chunky loan deal to pay out to bring in somebody like that we haven't talked about. How about Leon Bailey at Aston Villa, because they are trying to do a deal to bring Rashford in. I know they've sold Duran, but Rashford's going to cost them an absolute bloody fortune, isn't he? So I think it might be something like that. But time will tell before anyone's had a chance to listen to this podcast almost. Whether that's just me dreaming.
No, you've almost convinced me with the conviction you said that. I remember the Leon Bailey thing does make a lot of sense. Rashford going in there, Asensio coming from PSG into Villa as well. He can play wide right. I mean, how's Bailey going to get a game? He would fit us perfectly. Is it a loan to then buy? But you've almost convinced us, Iain, that something is now going to happen.
I think if we, with our thin squad, are selling somebody with no other reason than to bring a little bit more cash in for the summer. That is like me selling my kidney so I can afford to buy the kids Christmas presents next year.
It's an insane offer. I think trying to not be carried away because I'm fully on your side. I want you to be right. I don't want to be right here. I want to be excited with a new signing, but I just think, I mean, £20 million for Lloyd Kelly is an unbelievable offer. I just think it might just be too good to turn down, personally. However, I do agree, and I've been saying this bit for a while. The club saying that there's no money is just to try and scrap the Newcastle tax. That's all. There is money there. There is. Let's face it. There was money there in the summer for Gahey, and we've now sold £30 million worth of, or £30 million. We've got £30 million from 2 players. There's probably more going to go in terms of Matt Targett, not this window, but definitely in the summer because he's been linked with Leeds and teams like that. So there's money there, definitely. But I think the club are always, their stance is always going to be, there's no money. We've got to do this to balance the books. Stop asking us for an extra 20 million because we have £380 billion sat in the bank. Stop asking for Newcastle tax because we can't do it. I think that is definitely the line from the club, and I think it will be now for the next however long. They'll always be saying, well, we've got to balance it, blah, blah, blah. So I think we're definitely lying about that because I think there is money there. However, I don't know if we're going to sign any, but I hope we do. I really hope you're right. And you had me excited there with that little monologue.
You know,
I was thinking he's right. I was thinking Iain is talking so much sense here. He's definitely right. But then I'm just coming back to it.
All day been looking for a sniff of a rumour or anything, and there's none.
There was a weird rumour about
anything.
There was a weird rumour about Mbeumo making a £60 million bid, but we're not going to sell Mbeumo for 60 million. That's never going to happen. That's just somebody on Twitter.
Brentford are out the FA Cup. They don't have any European competition. They're safe in the Premier League. They're not going to get dragged into relegation. So maybe Mbeumo could be done if we're offering the sort of deal that they might not get in the summer because the other right wingers are available. I don't know. Anyway, we speculated enough. I don't want to get too excited because it'll all look horribly, horribly dated by this time tomorrow if we haven't heard that they're in the process of buying any. If they have in the process of bringing somebody in, though, I think we're hopefully breaking some news.
We'll be covering it. We're
going to wish it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kev, give us the GSPN Sport ad, and we will take a little bit of a glance forward to next Wednesday afterwards.
Oh, so exciting and nerve-wracking. Anyway, the Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasting with dedicated daily content for every single Premier League team, women's football. It has a dedicated Premier League wrap-up, and the Global Sports Podcast Network comes in 5 different languages. This is your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find the Global Sports Podcast Network wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Of course, very, very recently, but now, all of those podcasts are available in our very own playlist on the GSPN podcast YouTube channel, which, my word, there's a lot of stuff getting uploaded there every day, isn't there?
Yep. To be fair, the people who followed us on the old YouTube channel as well, we're going to try and get some of them episodes across to the new one, but it might take us a bit of time.
Yeah, we've got to be careful with algorithms and everything that we don't crash the whole Zencastr YouTube thing. We'll try and do that. But yeah, if you haven't seen us on YouTube and you've just listened to the podcast, you should come and have a look. Nicola always performs wearing a bath. Joanne is usually in the shower when she's broadcasting.
She is. She really is. Yeah.
Michael stands on his head and does all of those yoga positions, and it's just Kevin and I that are normal.
Yeah, we're the only normal ones in the whole team, which will really disappoint some viewers on this episode. But hey, the other 3 will be back doing the weird and wonderful things we do every episode very soon.
Check out the videos on YouTube if you don't believe us. But remember to subscribe and like when you've done that, because that's what you have to ask for. Little bit of time left.
Oh, Iain.
What? And we've got tickets for this, haven't we?
Yep.
I came out in the ballot and got my tickets and I had to choose them. And I'm in the second row in the Leaders Inn. I'm going to have to stand up to see over the advertising boarding. I picked that on purpose because that's where I used to stand when I was 11.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to watch Newcastle play Aston Villa? Arsenal even. In the second leg of the Carabao Cup Semi-Final, we go into it with a 2-goal lead and 2 horrific home performances whilst watching Arsenal absolutely spank Manchester City 5-1 this afternoon
Oh,
to really sort of boost their confidence. Do you think Bournemouth and Fulham have given Arsenal a blueprint on how to get through to the final of the Carabao Cup?
well, I mean, obviously, I hope not. However, what I will say, what both them teams have done very well is completely break the game up. Anytime our midfield got space against Bournemouth or Fulham, they would just foul us. They'd take the
Yeah,
yellow card, would foul us, and we can't get any flow going. We can't get any rhythm going in the midfield. So I don't think Arsenal are going to come and try and do that. I think Arsenal are going to try and back themselves, especially after smashing Manchester City last night. I think they're going to back themselves to come here and try and do us over. However, not last season, 2 seasons ago when we got to the final, our league form took a massive dip because we were so focused on that League Cup final. I feel like the last 2 home St James's Park games have been a little bit like that. I think there's just been a massive focus on this game. So I feel like our players will be well up for it. Anthony Gordon did look back to his best. He was a shining light against Fulham.
it was very good.
He had the fullback on toast pretty much the whole game. So for me, I genuinely think the players will rise to it. They've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. The atmosphere is going to be special. I think Arsenal come here with all the confidence in the world, but I still believe we're going to see the best Newcastle United. It's going to be the Newcastle United which we all loved on that 9 wins in a row
Yeah,
run. And I hope if we do get to the final, though, we need to find a way to not just think about a final and sacrifice our Premier League form, because it's really, really important that we finish in the top 5 this year if we want to keep the likes of these. I don't think winning the League Cup will do that, keep them players, but I think finishing in the top 5 will.
I agree with you, Kevin, and I think there might be a magic bullet for that. But firstly, let me agree with you that I don't think we will be knocked out on Wednesday. Full stop.
Oh,
But I certainly don't think we'll be knocked out on Wednesday for a lack of effort or intensity.
I agree.
Rather than looking at the team that went 9 games, 9 straight wins, I'd rather look at the team that played disappointingly and then came and got a draw against Manchester City, a draw against Liverpool, and a win against Arsenal. Because the matches before those games, we were a bit, can't remember exactly the results, but that was in our indifferent period. And we weren't indifferent against the big guns, and this is another game against the big guns. So I think we will be well up for it. Now, if we do get through and we end up playing either Tottenham or Liverpool, the magic bullet as to why we're not going to drop off is because we've got really, really hard games every single week. We're away after the FA Cup
final.
We might get knocked out of the FA Cup because of the distraction.
I'd take that.
We're then away at Man City, at home to Nottingham Forest, away to Liverpool. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think again they will be up for that, and fingers crossed, someone like Mbeumo will be playing down the right wing.
No,
It'll look a completely different game. No, maybe it's Leon Bailey.
Give the team something to think about if we do make a signing. And again,
it's amazing to think if we have a new signing like that, the shot in the arm that would give, not just squad, to the crowd, to the press, everyone will start believing again. Whereas at the moment they've now sunk back. And I know they've won 10 out of 12, and they've improved their position in the Premier League this weekend, despite the Fulham game, because they were just slightly less crap than everybody else around them. So, despite all of that, there's a nervousness now. I'm feeling nervous about Wednesday.
I'm so
I think it's going to be.
I've been nervous for about 2 weeks. I've just wanted this game. The month gap has been awful for the fans. I cannot imagine what it's been like for the players. We forget sometimes the players are human beings, and they've put the effort in. They've won that first leg and they've been desperate for this Wednesday, and it'll just be a build-up of nerves and excitement and a little bit of anxiety in there as well. It's the same for the fans. So look, I hope Arsenal don't get a good start. I'd love to catch them on the break in the first 5 minutes and go 3-0 up. That would be party time. Go back to 5-5-0 just because we can. But yeah, it's going to be a massive atmosphere. Big game. Can we do it again? It's brilliant preparation for a final. It really is brilliant preparation for a final. Fingers crossed
and
we can get through.
And their concentration and intensity will have to be honed throughout the rest of February in order just to hang in to a top 5 place, or hang on to a top 5 place.
Yeah, that's going to be big.
Because of those matches that are coming up, which is part of the disappointment of losing at home to Fulham was.
Yeah.
On those 4 games, I was thinking if we can get 6 or 7 points, that'll be great.
Yeah.
3 of those were definitely coming from Fulham. So
it's that type of season. Well, look at Villa losing to Wolves. This season, anybody can. I know we say it all the time, and it's been said for years in the Premier League. Anybody can beat anybody. Other than Southampton this year, anybody can beat anybody. So, like you said, we've lost to Fulham at home, but we've actually improved our standing in the league as long as Chelsea don't get a massively positive result. So it's insane when you think about that. But look, anything can happen this month. It's a big month, February. I know that Eddie and the coaching team will know it, the players will know it, and I hope we rise to the occasion. But February is going to be a massive month in terms of where our season goes and maybe where it even ends up. So yeah, let's see what happens. I'm excited for this month.
Yeah, I think by the end of February, we will have a pretty good idea as to how many of those superstars are still with us for the start of next season. Ooh,
all of them.
Controversial. Anyway, I'll leave it on a controversial note because that's what I can do.
That's what our boss
for joining me, Kev. Exciting. See you at the match on Wednesday.
Every club